Last night, we read Time magazine where Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover and said, the WNBA is the league of the year because of all the talent that we have.
Caitlin Clark made history by being the first WNBA player to win the award for Time Athlete of the Year. This was a historic accomplishment for both her and the league as a whole, and while players and analysts hailed it as a turning point for women's basketball, Clark's accomplishment was met with unexpected criticism from both fans and the WNBA itself.
It has taken the WNBA almost 28 years to get to the point where we are now. And this year, something clicked with the WNBA, and it's because of the draft of the players that came in.
In a CNN interview, Sheila Johnson, co-owner of the Washington Mystics, publicly criticized Clark's recognition, saying that the WNBA as a whole should have received the Time honor rather than just one player. Johnson contended that highlighting Clark could incite animosity among other players in the league and spark outrage on social media.
It's just not Caitlin Clark, it's Reese. We have so much talent out there that has been unrecognized, and I don't think we can just pin it on one player.
What exactly did Johnson say? Why has her critique been characterized as contentious and even detrimental to the WNBA? And most importantly, how has Caitlin Clark responded? Let's get started.
Because when you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings.
Analysts quickly criticized and dismantled Sheila Johnson's remarks about Caitlin Clark during her CNN interview. Rather than congratulating Clark on his historic achievement as the WNBA's first ever Time Athlete of the Year, Johnson claimed that the award should have gone to the entire WNBA to avoid hurt feelings. She also claimed that media coverage of Clark played into racial dynamics, saying that equally talented players of color never received the recognition they deserved.
There has been, this phrase has been couched, hasn't it? The Caitlin Clark effect. Why do you think that has been the case?
Well, I want to be very diplomatic about this. It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. I'm going to be very honest. I feel really bad because I've seen so many players of color that are equally as talented, and they never got the recognition that they should have. And I think right now, it is time for that to happen.
Johnson's remarks, which called out the poor reasoning behind contesting individual awards, were deemed embarrassing by one. They claimed that in sports, we recognize individual excellence through MVPs, Rookies of the Year, and historic awards like Time Athlete of the Year. They added that league-wide success is fueled by players like Clark who raise awareness of women's basketball on a global scale, which lessens the significance of these awards in the first place.
In basketball and sports, people get awards. They get the MVP. They don't give it to the league. There's the most valuable player. They get singled out. It's not a participation trophy. It's not an equal opportunity.
Johnson was chastised by another analyst for reiterating the jealousy narratives that Clark had attempted to refute during her interview. Clark had emphasized mutual respect and rejected claims of resentment among her peers, but Johnson's remarks appeared to validate the hostility that Clark had hoped to resolve, causing backlash in the sports world.
Her whole Time interview was talking about how trying to clap back at the fact that she was being targeted and people were jealous of her and bitter towards her. And now the freaking Mystics owner has just proved it.
Johnson's framing was also questioned. One analyst considered it offensive, stating that Caitlin Clark's success stems from her ability to redefine the game by smashing records and garnering millions of viewers while shooting from 30 feet.
This is a WNBA owner has just said Caitlin Clark is big because she's white. No, because she's shooting the ball from 30 feet. She's literally shooting the ball from 30 feet. This is the reason why the WNBA has failed. People like this are the reason why the WNBA has failed.
Others emphasized how Johnson disregarded Clark's concrete contributions to the WNBA, pointing out that she is increasing attendance, TV ratings, and interest in the sport on her own. Rather than doubting her recognition, we ought to be applauding the contributions she has made to this league. All analysts came to the conclusion that Johnson's remarks misrepresented Clark's accomplishments and undercut the advancements the WNBA is making, with one pointing out that Clark isn't the issue, she's the solution.
We have got to operate and become stronger as a league and respect everybody that's playing and their talents.
Fans rushed to social media in full force to defend Caitlin Clark when analysts exposed the shortcomings in Johnson's reasoning. Their responses ranged from scathing sarcasm to fervent support for Clark's accomplishments to the WNBA, if Johnson's intention was to address more general issues. Fans expressed their clear opinion that her remarks were an unwarranted assault on one of the league's top players. One tweet humorously ridiculed the hard feelings debate by proposing to abolish all league awards, meaning there would be no MVPs, championships, or Rookie of the Year. Instead, the league as a whole would receive awards for its current players. Fans expressed their dissatisfaction with the league's silence in another tweet, pointing out that no one from the league has defended her, and they questioned why her fanbase believes there is jealousy in the league. They also cited Clark's humility as evidence that she deserves the time honor. Beyond the irony and annoyance, supporters gathered around the information that Johnson appeared to ignore. The 2 games against Caitlin Clark and the Fever Games, where they had to relocate to a larger arena for the non-Fever Games, accounted for 31% of the Mystics' trend for the whole 2024 season. Washington typically had 5,000 attendees, but when they host the Fever, that number rises to 20,000. Clark regularly appears in these Fever Games. When she was traveling, her games drew record-breaking numbers and saw spikes in attendance even for the other club. Some regular season games even outperformed playoff broadcasts in terms of TV ratings. While there were only 6 LA Sparks guards in the playoffs sans Clark, 19 of Clark's regular season games drew crowds of at least 1 million. In response, Brown retorted to Johnson, adding that it is completely crazy that her team had to transfer their games to a larger arena when they played the Fever. Brown posted a remark that went viral and precisely captured the feeling of her fans. She said, "Can we please stop taking steps backwards?" without even mentioning her own stellar performance. The outcry over Johnson's remarks wasn't only about protecting Clark, it was also about emphasizing what she stands for to fans. A WNBA player receives Athlete of the Year for the first time ever, and her league's leaders are questioning why not someone else can make this up. The growth of women's basketball is demonstrated by Clark's fame, and the league as a whole benefits from her exposure. If you've watched this far and found the video entertaining, don't forget to like, subscribe, and enable all notifications. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, but let's get back to the action.
We all need to sit down, and I think our leadership with our commissioner, she needs to sit down and even bring a psychologist in, I don't know, but talk to the players and how we resolve the issues that we're going through. Because not only what's going through with the WNBA is happening in society as well.
Although supporters came together in support of Caitlin Clark, her own deeds reveal why she is so well known. In addition to setting records on the court, Clark has continuously shown the leadership, humility, and kindness that make her an inspiration to women's basketball.
Hardest part about being Caitlin Clark, I would say, having to feel like you're always like on.
We came from Wisconsin.
That is fun. Ready?
Oh my gosh.
You just have bad days, and there's days where you don't want to talk to anyone, but somebody comes up to you and this is their 10-second interaction with you, so you better smile and be kind. But at the same time, it's just like you just want to be normal sometimes.
Consider her refusal to appear in an ESPN series about her college career alone. Clark made it plain that she wouldn't go ahead unless other players were included as well, which led to Camila Cardoso and Kiki Rice co-starring. She also demonstrated her dedication to encouraging her peers during the WNBA season by making a remarkable gesture to demand spot bonuses for opposing players whose teams profited from her game. Fans weren't exaggerating when they referred to her as the real deal.
How you feel or how you respond to some of those criticisms when you have to deal with something that it's really not your problem. Like, I feel like it's them looking in a mirror a little bit, but it still comes down on your shoulders.
I feel like I always have had really good perspective on everything that's kind of happened in my life, whether that's been good, whether that's been bad. And then obviously coming to the WNBA, like I've said, I feel like I've earned every single thing that's happened to me over the course of my career.
This kind of thinking directly refutes Sheila Johnson's assertions that singling out certain people causes negative emotions. In addition to her behavior off the court, Clark's activities demonstrate that she actively works to include and elevate others, making Johnson's concerns not only misguided but also at odds with reality. After a demanding collegiate season, Clark's commitment to her profession has raised the bar for rookies in the league. She entered the WNBA with ease and played a significant number of minutes without complaining. "I'm fortunate to be doing what I love," she said, rather than lounging on her laurels. Clark quickly listed her off-season objectives, which included strengthening her mid-range game, increasing her power, and fortifying her mental fortitude to overcome physical defenders.
I've been enjoying a little bit of a break. I played basketball for literally a year straight. I played like 82 games. I didn't miss a game from college to the pros, which is basically an entire NBA season. And I didn't really come out of many games either. So it was long, but I'm very fortunate and grateful. But I feel like I can just continue to improve. And
her influence on the league stems from how she uses her platform as much as her skill set. Clark constantly emphasizes the contributions of her peers, compliments teammates, and even publicly acknowledges her victories. This strategy has won her over both fans and the media, making her the most approachable and motivating person in the WNBA, while Sheila Johnson's remarks cause dissension. Clark exemplifies unity through her leadership, which goes beyond simply playing basketball to include transforming the league into something bigger. If her first season is any guide, she's well on her way to changing a more positive story of women's basketball.
She went into the WNBA as a rookie, had more assists than any player ever, generated more points than any player ever. Made first team all WNBA, rookie season. Led the Fever to the playoffs, rookie season. It's just sad. It's just sad at this juncture. Why backlash for helping to grow the league and getting others shine? Do people get mad when LeBron James or Tom Brady is put on a cover? No, it should be the entire NFL or the entire NBA.
For many fans and experts, Sheila Johnson's remarks revealed deeper problems with the NBA's leadership and its inability to unite behind its stars. They weren't just an attack on Caitlin Clark. Johnson's comment was a squandered chance for the league to commemorate a landmark occasion and display its best players. The first significant problem is that, in spite of the backlash that Clark's remarks generated, the WNBA has offered little to no public defense of her. Fans have noticed that, despite one tweet, no one from the league has defended her, and they question why her fan base believes there is jealousy. This lack of support, whether it stems from rivalry, jealousy, or misaligned priorities, only serves to deepen the WNBA's sense of division.
I'm sorry that the WNBA wasn't as popular before. I didn't watch it as much as I did before, and I'm covering it now. But that's the good thing. That's the benefit. Every other player who wasn't getting the recognition is now. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Can no one see that? Asia Wilson is much more famous than she was before. This next wave.
Johnson's portrayal of Clark's accomplishments as problematic draws attention to yet another structural problem. The incapacity of the league to support individual players. Clark's influence on attendance, viewership, and general interest in women's basketball cannot be denied. But rather than being celebrated, her acknowledgement was greeted with questions about how difficult it is to simply offer congrats and keep things going. Rather than using Clark's fame to boost the league, this lack of unity inside the WNBA is especially detrimental at a time when the league is gaining traction with new audiences. Johnson's remarks took attention away from what ought to have been a moment of unity. Fans have often noted that rising stars like Clark helped the league as a whole by drawing greater attention to it, but the league's internal criticism and quiet harm these efforts.
But Caitlin Clark is the clear and obvious driving force. It's not black and white, it is green. The attendance for the Mystics games broke the record for most attended games against the Fever. They averaged like 4,000 in attendance. Against the Fever, it was over 20,000. The three highest attended games this year were all Fever games. Over 20,000. 3 games went over 20,000. All 3 were.
The WNBA needs leaders who choose unity over disagreement if it is to succeed. Sheila Johnson's remarks and the lack of public reaction from others underscore the pressing need for a more cohesive and powerful vision. The WNBA must now decide whether to take note of this moment or risk losing its momentum in spite of the controversy she sparked. With her historic acknowledgement, Caitlin Clark continues to be the embodiment of what's good with women's basketball. Being named Time Athlete of the Year wasn't just about her. It was also about what she stands for in the future of the NBA. Clark has demonstrated that individual excellence doesn't split a league. Rather, it raises it.
There have been great black players before. Caitlin still has work to do before she can be considered the greatest of all time in the professional ranks. But to act like there's just like this laundry list of players who are better than Caitlin Clark is stupid. It's ignorant.
The WNBA's future is bright if it embraces what Clark represents: hard work, humility, and the ability to bring people together. As Clark continues to shine, she's setting a new standard for what it means to be a leader. Her focus isn't just on her own success, but also on uplifting those around her teammates, peers, and even rivals. Johnson's comments exposed flaws in the league's leadership and its struggle to unite behind its stars. That kind of leadership is exactly what the WNBA needs to break into the mainstream and earn the respect it deserves. The WNBA has a unique chance to support athletes like Clark and leverage their achievements to propel their development. The time has come for league leaders to take charge, celebrate successes that raise awareness of women's basketball, and embrace unity. Caitlin Clark has already made her decision. She is setting an example and demonstrating that the WNBA has a bright future. The only question is whether the league will follow her example. If so, please let us know in the comments by subscribing and turning on all alerts so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.